Oh, yeah, go get her. Hold on before we start. She's done. All right, grand risings to each and every one of you, to my fellow board members, Sawyer, our Welland City School District family. We call this meeting to order at 11:02 a.m. We are called to order now for our special call meeting. Let me begin by reading our mission statement. The mission of Welland City School District is to create and maintain a highly effective educational system in which every student receives the highest quality education. School employees and parents work together to prepare students to become caring, competent, and responsible citizens who value education as a lifelong process. That is the mission for our Welland City Schools District. At this time, we do have our agenda before us, fellow board members, today. And it is to talk about our needs-based public school capital fund 2022 will be grant application that needs to be submitted by March the 15th of this year. We need to have some discussion around that on today. That is our agenda item, and that's the only agenda item we have for today. Ask that we would entertain a motion to receive and approve the agenda for our special call meeting.
Make a motion to approve our special call meeting for today. Second.
Motion has been moved by Mrs. Jenkins and seconded by Ms. Kay Robinson that we approve our special call meeting agenda for today. You heard that motion. Is there any further discussion on readiness? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by your voice vote? Ms. Kay Robinson?
Aye.
Mrs. Harrison?
Yes.
O.D. Sykes? Aye. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins?
Aye.
And do we have other board members online? Okay, let the record reflect unanimous approval of the 5 board members that are present at this time for our meeting. All right, thank you so much. Now we will go into discussion concerning the needs-based public school capital fund grant. That is our item for discussion on today. And I'll begin this conversation. It actually stems back to last year when myself and fellow board member, Mr. Williams, we actually had a meeting. We were the representation from Weldon School Board that actually met with representation from the county board of commissioners. And at that time, we did not have Mrs. Harrison on that committee, which we do now. But anyway, we met and we had a discussion concerning the possibility of a new Weldon High School. We were not aware of this grant money at the time. Of course, Mr. Williams and I, we met and we were talking about the possibility of us having a new Weldon High School. And of course, we had conversation, and I want to be very clear and transparent. Mr. Williams, anytime you want to jump in, please just let me know. But I want it to be very clear that Mr. Williams and myself did not negotiate with the representation from the county that we met with to say that our board was in favor of building a new Weldon High School on the grounds or on the same grounds as the middle school. We even talked about all of the repairs that need to be done at the middle school now. But in order for a feasibility study to be done that the county would pay for, they said that they had to choose the person that would do the feasibility study. And they were going to basically look at the middle school property. They wanted to know if we could build a new high school there first. But I just want to be very clear and transparent. At no time that myself or Mr. Williams, at no time has it been decided by this board that we would move in that direction. And all of us know that we have a lot of repairs that need to be done at the middle school now. That is wetland. It is built in a low area, and plenty of water go there. And in my personal opinion, you can put as many drains in there as you want. You can haul as much dirt in as you want. All of us know water rises to the top. That's just common sense. That's just,
That's right.
laws of nature. Water rise to the top. So we found out about this grant in our February board meeting, when our lawyer made us aware of that we could actually apply for this grant. And so that's where we are today. But before I go any further, I want to ask if Mr. Williams has anything to add with that meeting, because we were the representation from our school board that actually met with the representation of the county.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Brother Sykes.
Yes, sir.
When we met down there, we walked the school, Welland Elementary, we walked through the school and we looked at the problem.
Middle school.
At the middle school, excuse me, at the middle school. And our talk had been to build a new high school or refurbish the high school. However, the county commission, they said that they would not consider building a new high school until a feasibility study was done to place the new high school at the Welland Middle School. So then they went on to say that they would pay for the feasibility study. They had to pick the firm to do it, but that was just to see if that site would be suitable for that. But we didn't say that we were interested in building a high school at the middle school because there were so many problems. But the only way they would do it was that they would have to have a feasibility study before they move on building a new high school. And that's basically where everything was. And they said they would have to select the firm and they would pay up to $50,000. First we had said that they should pay at least half the cost, but then they said they would pay up to $50,000, but they must select the firm. This is the last thing we heard.
Correct. And just for clarity, or even more clarity before we go forward concerning this grant, fellow board members, we were at this same intersection 4 years ago. In 2018, we were talking about feasibility study, what it would cost to build a new high school. And this was 17-18 school year. That's been 4 years, and an election was going to take place. And here we are 4 years later, and the plans that were drawn by Dan Kane, I think it was, that were presented, it was never for Davis and Kane.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Davis and Kane, thank you.
Yes, sir.
It was never the plans that were drawn, and we still have them. It was never plans for a new high school at the middle school site. It was plans to refurbish or rebuild at the present high school site. So I want to be very clear and transparent with that as well. We got a bid for a new high school at the site. And we also had, well, not a bid, but we had plans for a new high school construction at the current site, or the same plans or model was basically shown to us for a refurbished high school at the same site. It was never a discussion about moving the high school. I want to be clear and transparent with that as well. That's what the plans basically show. And Dr. Sawyer has them, he's reviewed them, and he can concur that the same thing. I mean, that's what the plans basically say,
Right.
for the existing site. So, of course, a lot of figures were thrown around. Here we are, again, 4 years later, very, very similar as it was in 2018. And we had a different point. The only thing that we have today is we did not know of this grant funding that our school district could apply for. And our attorney made us aware of that. And of course, if the board members remember, we took a vote on February the 17th in our February board meeting. And we authorized our staff to do what needed to be done to apply for this grant. They reached out to DPI. DPI made us aware as a school district, a governing unit. They made us aware that we could apply for the grant as a school district. And of course, we told our grant writer, Ms. Terry Austin, and our interim superintendent at the time, Ms. Dameron, to get busy because we had to get it in. We were under time restraints. And that's what we did. And we submitted everything. And I will say this, it was submitted to the county office at the time. Ms. Dia Denton was the interim county manager. And I was on the email trails or the email chain rather. And I think the county commissioner's agenda had already been formulated. And Ms. Austin, correct me if I am wrong, because you're sitting here with us. Ms. Denton did inform you and Ms. Dameron to send it in, and it needed to get to her by the 28th of February, correct?
She wanted to review it to see if it was worthy to go on the board.
Okay, she wanted to review it to see if, okay, so basically when we got to the county commissioners meeting Monday, it was not on the agenda. And the commissioners, it was a deadlock vote because they said they had not seen it. But in all actuality, we had submitted everything that we were supposed to submit to the county. I don't know why the commissioners did not get it. From what I'm told, they didn't want to take action on anything that they had not seen. And I understand that, to a point, but we had done everything that we were supposed to do from Weldon's side in order to expedite the process. Now, if it was Ms. Denton or whoever, I don't know why information was withheld from the county commissioner, but it was sent from our school district by the deadline that she asked for it, correct? Okay, so I wanted to be very, very clear on that as well. But this is where we are. We need to have conversation today. And Ms. Austin is here and she will give us some information. And if y'all don't mind, I want to call on her now to just come and share with us the details of the grant. She sent it to us. We have it. We received electronic copies. We have it tangibly. But just want her to share information because there may be some questions that we as board members have, because the county commissioners, they recessed their meeting on Monday, the 7th, and they're going to reconvene on Monday, March the 14th to take this issue back up. But I thought it was necessary for us as a board to have conversation because we don't know what the 14th will look like. And only thing our employees did, only thing our staff did is what we as a board voted for them to do. And we went after this grant full speed ahead. All right. Ms. Austin, if you would share with us information, some specifics as far as the grant is concerned. If you don't mind,
Would you like to have a seat in front of that microphone?
Yes.
And then we can capture everything.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning, respected board chair, board members, board and superintendent. I have completed a timeline of the process after the Board of Education requested that we begin the process immediately. The day following, Ms. Dameron and Dr. Sawyer, Ms. Campbell and I, we went to find artifacts that we could use in order to start building based on what had already taken place at the high school. So we were able to find in the superintendent's office the facilities assessment. So we felt that was a good place to kind of get started with what we already have received. from there, I immediately, that Monday morning called, and attempted to get in touch with the, DPI representative, Mr. Nathan, and I hope I'm not, but I'm gonna call him Mr. Nathan. And, and I shared with him, we had an interest in applying. And I didn't get him on the phone, so I sent an email, and he did, he responded back. I also that day contacted Mr. Stevens from Davis Kane and shared with him that we were interested in applying for the grant, and can he give me the updated total that will be needed in order to, pull proper amount together. And again, he was excited and said if there's anything that we needed, he gave me great support. And he did in the end email me those figures that I requested. Mr. Nathan reached back out to me. He said he'd rather talk to me by phone so that, he could answer all the questions that I had. And he did. So that's what led the process of seeing were we eligible to apply. So he assured me yes. He just gave me the caveat that it's gonna take the board chair from the school system and a board, the county commissioners to sign off on it. So he did share with me that we need to make sure that everybody, knew what we were doing. So at that time, that's when Ms. Gammon and I reached out to the Halifax County Manager's Office. And the first response I received was that, yes, the time frame was closed in order to be put on the county commissioner's agenda. So I hung up the phone, and I was like, this is above me, so let me go see Ms. Gammon. But before I could, the young lady called me back, and she said, Mrs. Deaton would talk to me. So that's when she had, she was asking me questions as to what we had. And so that's when we assured her we had just began the writing process. But once we completed the writing process, we would share the information with her. So we did that. I presented it out to the entire local board of education to approve it before submitting. Once we received it from the approval from the board of our board of education, we then submitted it for that approval. So all of the district leaders received the same correspondence we received back on the second, that it would not go on the board agenda due to the fact it was closed. So she did share with us in that email on March 2nd. So that's basically where we are. But I wanted to kind of share that I've given everyone a copy of the grant application. And if you would go to the document that and the agreements that are being agreed to is in the assurance, which is the, if you go from the back, it may be easy, which is page, it says page 1, but it's in the back, page 10. So the last page under your paper clip, that will share with you what the insurances entail, basically what we're asking for, and what we're agreeing for.
Let me ask, and I know other board members will have questions. The assurance, it does not hold the county commissioners to anything. This is basically what when I read this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not as familiar with grants as you are, being a grant writer, but I'm not a novice to grants. I can read the black and white. This would basically, the assurance is basically the county would be saying, if the grant is approved, that they would receive the funds to give to us, because county commissioners give the money to local school boards to actually build buildings, because that would be considered a quote unquote capital outlay, which would require the funds to come through that way. So basically, what I understood this to be, the assurance would basically be saying that the county commissioners agree, if the grant is approved, or when the grant is approved, that they would accept the money to give to our district to do what needs to be done.
Is there a matching component to this grant? I can't remember.
Yes, sir, there is a matching grant of 5%, and in my technical assistance with the gentleman from BPI that he shared with me during our conversation, that matching can come from our local funds, a USDA loan, or a bond. And so that is what, I didn't put a bond on the application. I put local funds / and or a USDA loan. That USDA loan, of course, we know cannot be paid with any federal funds, but it can be paid with, local funds. If we do apply for the loan, it can be paid with local funds. And I did verify that with him, since then, but, that's what he shared with me at that time.
So the only thing I would add then, Reverend Sykes, is historically, the commissioners are agreeing to provide the match because that's historically where that match comes from. So that's, again, historically how that's been handled in most other places in the state.
Okay, Attorney Malone, let's explore that. I think the grant cap for us was 50 million
Yes, sir. For the high school.
for the high school. And we did submit the grant application for the match.
Yeah.
50 million.
Yes, sir.
But we don't determine whether we're going to get 50 million or not. Of course, that's above us.
Yeah.
So whatever the grant would be approved for, it would be a match of 5% of that amount.
Yes, sir.
So let's just say if it was $50 million, doing quick math, you're talking about $2.5 million. I don't see why the county or our board would turn down a brand new school. And the only thing that has to be put with it is 2.5 million, just doing quick math. That seems to be a no-brainer. I mean, the county saves money, our district saves money, all of that. I don't know what the grant would be, what it would be approved for, but I'm just, using quick math. It seemed like it would be a no-brainer that our children could get a brand new school and we're looking at $2 million versus 14 or 18 million that it was at the time when we actually got the plane. I would hope that we could move forward and our county commissioners, the county would be in support of that because there would be a cost savings for everybody. I mean, it's not like it would be an astronomical cost in that respect in relation to what the numbers were 4 years ago. And of course, all of us know that it is a whole lot more now in cost for construction than it was 4 years ago. Price of material and everything has gone up.
I don't disagree. I think the only point that I wanted to be clear on is that I think that the county's affirmation could be viewed as agreeing to provide that $2 million, that $2.5 million. And I'm not at all suggesting that they wouldn't or couldn't or shouldn't, but
Right.
I do want to be clear if we're saying that their affirmation is I think could be construed as more than just agreeing to accept the funds is the only thing that I was trying to point out.
Sure. And I'm not saying that they will or will not. I'm just pressing the claim that it seems more logical and more realistic to me. We are approved for a grant amount that it will be a win for everybody, the school district, our students, most of all, the county and everybody, because, you'd be talking about less money that would actually have to be invested in it from the local standpoint. That's the point that I'm after. And I have one last question, and then I'm going to, if anybody else has questions. Is this match, is it in kind funds or?
Now, no, sir, because they said some of that could be used for the design
Okay,
process, but it has to be things that we're moving forward, not something that's already taken place.
gotcha. Okay. So and I'm speaking to the match now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
And
Other
that's
questions?
that's the way I understood it. And then it also, it's down here on the bottom. And I think that's why I read it as well. You have to do it. It's not, maximum. It's
Okay,
not income.
okay.
Chairman Sykes, I do
Yes.
have a question. Yes, sir. Under the timeline, just for clarification, Mr. Robert Stevens on 222. He's actually with the architectural firm. Is that correct? Okay. And by the way, all the heavy lifting that Miss Austin and the team did, I just want to express our appreciation and recognition for all of those efforts. Down on the two, let's see, I saw Robert Stevens, and then I saw Robert Stevens' son,
It's the same person.
same person. So just as long as we have accurate name.
Which one is it, Stevens or Stevenson?
That's it.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Oh, no.
Thank
No,
you.
All of us trying to make sure we on the
No,
same
I-
page.
Yes, sir.
I didn't ask you for recognition, though.
No, you all right. We're
Right.
trying to get the clarity. And she's going to verify that. And I want to say something else, and then I'm going to defer to fellow board member, Ms. Kay Robinson. I was not actually at the commissioners meeting because I had problems with getting the link, and I found out at the last minute that it was going to be talked about because it was not on the agenda. And of course, I was not available, but Ms. Kay Robinson was actually on, and she was speaking, and of course, being the chair of our finance department or finance committee within our school district, she was there and she actually did speak. So I certainly want her to share information. But it's one other thing that I want to insert real quick. When we received information, and I thought I saw it on the email, that Halifax County School Board has somehow or another been linked with our grant. And everybody that applies have to apply as an individual unit and not, as other units kind of mixed together, because it's my understanding they submitted one as well. But I want to thank Mrs. Terry Austin and Ms. Dameron and Ms. Campbell when she was here, and Dr. Sawyer as well, because this was, put together strategically. I mean, things are explained, it's laid out, the plans, are with it for construction. There's a detailed summary of what we're looking at doing, all of that, talking about the high school and what is laid out. And we have a long, a lot of pages, what I'm trying to say. I mean, it was put together. And I just want to say to us, whether another school district receives this grant or not, we are going after this for Weldon. And that was my understanding when we actually approved this, that we said we were going after this for our students. Ms. Kay Robinson, you will share with us, since you actually spoke at the board meeting, because commissioners asked you some questions.
Good morning, board members. I'd just like to say that Commissioner Williams was on the call as well during the morning.
Yeah, I was on for a while, but
Mhm.
I had to get off.
I understand. I just wanted to make sure that we were aware that you did come on. And also we had
Okay.
staff members
Thank
up
you,
there.
Mr. Williams.
We had staff members up there, Ms. Karen Dameron and Mrs. Terry Austin also. They did ask me several questions, and they would only allow me to answer those questions, so I couldn't elaborate and say other things. But I do want to, they did request that a letter come from Dr. Sawyer from this board saying the amount of grant money that we are requesting. And so we need to get that in today. If we can get that in email to Dia and every commissioner, I would suggest
And us.
directly, and all of us.
Yeah.
They wanted a letter on our letterhead from Dr. Sawyer, letting them know the amount of money, where we want to spend that money. So that will be at the current site of the high school, and put the address, whatever it is, County Road. And also, Terry, was it one more thing that they wanted in that letter? Okay, and I think we just need to put a rationale in there of why we're requesting it for that site. We want our students to be able to walk to school. We want them to be, our schools to be community-based for our parents. We already have issues with parent involvement at the middle school, so we know that's not feasible for our parents in our community.
Correct.
We need our schools to stay in our communities. So our children who walk to school can get to school and do activities and do other things that they want to do at school. We want it to stay community-based in the town of Wales
That's right.
so that it will stay in our community. And I think we just need to stress that. And also in that letter, we need to stress that we are representing Weldon City Schools only, because they were trying to lump it with Halifax County Schools, which they received their application after hours. And they're trying to build a brand new school on Eastman site that has nothing to do with Weldon City Schools. And we're asking for our LEA, and we need to put that in there as well. And that needs to go out this afternoon to all of them, so they are happy. And as many of us who can be on the line on Monday morning at 9:30 on that Zoom link for county commissioners, I would love to see us up there so we can support this endeavor for us moving forward. I think it's a great opportunity for our students, for our staff, for our community. And I can't see anything that would keep our county commissioners from supporting something that we've gone after individually as an LEA and that we need for our students. We've gone out, we've done all the lead work. It's well written, it's well laid out, they're up to date findings for the amounts of money that we plan to spend and what we plan to spend them on. Ms. Austin has done a great job at that, and I just want to commend all our staff that will have part in that in working with it. So I just think we should move forward and do that and make sure that happens today, along with another copy, updated copy of the grant for all commissioners and board members, and also a copy of our timeline. So they can see that we just got started on this and we got it in by their deadline that we were given by Ms. Dia Ditton, and we have not been sitting on this. That was alluded to in the meeting as well, that we had been sitting on it and we had not. We did a quick turnaround with it when we found out about it in February, and we got it in we were planning on submitting it by the deadline with the signature of the chair of the county commissioners and our board chair of these sites. Anything else that you need me to add or?
Oh, I didn't know if it was something else or other questions that, board members had. I do want us to talk about this today, so we will leave this meeting crystal clear. I wish that all of the board members were here, but we do have a quorum. We have more than 4, so we can transact business. I want to know from each board member here today, because I don't want anything to be misconstrued. Now, I know Mr. Williams and myself, we never alluded to in any conversation that we wanted to move the high school from the current site. He nor I, we never did that. When we met with them, we were just talking with them about us having a new high school or a renovated high school, whichever it would be, for our students in our district. Now, I need direction because, we on the line Monday and the county commissioners say something about moving the school. Of course, it has to be an agreement by both boards. You just can't up and move. We have to agree and they have to agree. Is it still the position of this board that we want our high school to stay where it is? I need to get that. So, if I'm the one that's speaking, or if it's Ms. Terry Austin or any other board member, we can say that definitively, what the wishes of the board is. Yes, Ms. Jenkins.
My thing is, Reverend Sykes, I want to thank y'all for all the hard work that y'all have done. And my thing is, I would not vote for our Weldon High School to be put nowhere but where it's at me. And I know as a board, that's what we see.
Sure.
And I still feel the same way. And that's where I'm at with that. But when y'all really, the county commissioners, I'm asking you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they haven't came out and said really that they are not going to give us a school or where since y'all was at the meeting, I wasn't there.
Well, I'll say this, and Mr. Williams could correct me if I'm wrong, but both of us were there, and I think we heard the same thing in this respect, because I think Mr. Williams actually said it. It's been talked about that Weldon was next in line for a school. And we've been next in line for a school for a long time. A long time.
Yes.
I'm just hoping that something can actually become a reality and not just a wish or thought process or afterthought. I hope it can become a reality. And this is an opportunity through these grant funds for it to actually become a reality. Mr. Williams, you have something to add to that?
No, Ron Sykes, the only thing, there are a couple things I'd like to say is that, first of all, I want to thank Ms. Austin, Dr. Sawyer, Ms. County, and who else might have been involved in this process. Because you had a short turnaround time to do that job.
That's right.
I'm all for Weldon High School staying where it is. And they recessed that meeting so that they could consider this. And we're next in line for a high school. And I don't see county commission not approving this grant. Because as she said, it's going to save everyone some money.
Right.
And I don't think that if we get the grant, I don't think it would be based on, we had to move the school to the middle school, high school to the middle school, or rebuild that. If we had those funds, then I think we would have the decision to make where we're going to build. I don't really think they would be locked in, and that's just my thought.
Sure.
On where the school is built in terms of the commission, because it's going to be grant money that's going to build the school. So I just think that there's nothing really we can do until they have that meeting on Monday.
Correct.
And they approve or don't approve. But if they don't approve, we will still be on the list next for the end of the school to be built within Halifax County. So I think that when we wait for Monday, and if it's approved, then we move forward with our plan. But I can't see that.
It wouldn't, to me, it wouldn't make good.
Not
Yeah,
approved.
right.
Not, you don't know when this opportunity will come up again to receive grant money. I can't really see them not.
Well, I can say this from talking with Ms. Ralston and Ms. Dameron when they worked on that. The gentleman from DPI, Mr. Nathan, I'm gonna say Mune, I think that's Manoon, however his last name is pronounced. I did not talk to him, but he did let us know that there is another opportunity for September of this year. But only thing that would change then if we waited to September would be costs, because costs are, continuing to go up. That's on a monthly basis.
Pushing it down the road when you could get it in now.
Right.
And move forward.
Right.
Exactly.
And we've done all the necessary legwork. And again, this only thing that this assurance page does, the county would be a pass-through for the grant, to come for us to actually do the work. I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Williams. I feel like we're gonna be on the list, or we would be next in line for a school. But I've been hearing that for the last decade.
If I may interject, Reverend
Yes.
Sykes, they did take a vote on our grant on last Monday,
Right,
and it was a tie vote.
right.
3 commissioners voted against it and 3 commissioners voted for it. So it was locked.
Right.
So they couldn't move on it.
It would be 7, still, it would be 7.
The Board of Commissioners only had 6.
6. It was a 3-3 vote.
And all the commissioners were present. It
All
was a
of them were
3-3
present.
deadlock.
Mhm.
They've already voted on.
But they said they will rescind that you know, and look, because they hadn't seen it.
Right.
Because they were gonna look at Halifax as well. Since they were gonna go into recess, they were gonna look at ours again, and after looking at it, they're gonna vote again. So it does make sense for them to agree to it. I just want you to know three of them, and I can tell you who they were.
Well, it's public. Go and
Yeah,
say it.
Brewer, Reese Manning, and Qualls voted against it. And Carolyn Johnson, John Smith, and Vernon Bryant voted for it. So it was a 3-3 tie vote in their commissioner meeting on Monday the 7th. So hopefully they will see the light and read what we have, know that it is well put together, but it was also alluded that it was not written well, and it is written very well. That was alluded in that meeting, wasn't it, Terry? Okay, and it was also alluded that we waited to the last minute. No, we did not. When we found out about it, we jumped on it and got it in on time, and we still have time, because it's not due to the 15th. So I just want you all to know all the working parts that has already happened. So that did happen on last month. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Go
well,
ahead.
I can understand Noble, I can understand yes, because my position would be, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't.
Right.
vote for it. So I think to me, it's an understandable vote. And we just hope that
After seeing it.
come after seeing it and
Mhm.
come Monday, then that's what the proof will be in the pudding.
Exactly.
But either they go with the grant or they looking at 14, 16 million dollars to build or refurbish the high school.
Mhm.
And
Versus maybe $1 million for matching fund.
Exactly.
and Mr. Williams, I mean, I concur, but I still hinge on the fact, and correct me if I'm wrong, it almost seemed like to me that our capable staff that worked hard, you know, for getting this done, that it was almost like it was something unprofessional about it. That, from my understanding, and I was not there, but I'm leaning on what fellow school board member Kay Robinson said, that like our staff did something unprofessional. And it was nothing unprofessional about it, because DPI assured our staff, after we voted for them to move forward with it, you know, last month, that we could apply for it. And, you know, basically DPI told us, and Ms. Dawson, correct me if I'm wrong, that it wasn't anything that our board had to go to the county commissioners for before we actually applied. We were free and clear as a LEA to apply for this grant. Free and clear. Now, that's what DPI told us. And I asked them, you know, time and time again, make sure you verify that, make sure, and they did. And DPI verified that the school district, us being a LEA, that we could actually apply for this grant. And that's why, you know, we went after it with so much vigor.
Well, it was,
the way we did.
well, it was said in the commissioner meeting that we didn't really know what we wanted, because we had already agreed to move the high school out to the Weldon Middle School, and I couldn't speak to it because it wasn't a question to me. This is just a comment made by commissioners. And so I knew that we had not agreed to that.
Right.
So I couldn't speak to that because they would only let me answer questions. But we need to make it clear today that that is not what we want to do. We want it to stay where it is in its current location and do what we need to do for it where it is. And that is the plan.
And I think just in case it comes up that, you know, the county has spent $50,000 on a feasibility study, are we really gonna let $50,000 stand in the way of the possibility
Of getting 50 million.
of getting a maximum amount of 50 million? There we go again. To me, that's a no-brainer. It doesn't matter that $50,000 has been spent on a study. I mean, if push come to shove and we need to have some conversation about that, we just had a conversation about that then, but that should not hinge or infringe on whether we move forward with this grant. And we've done everything that we have to do, but of course, the county commissioners, they do have to sign off on it. And I just hope that good judgment, and it's my understanding that Commissioner Carolyn Johnson, being a retired educator herself, she was fighting hard. This is just
She was.
grant money. I mean, why wouldn't we get grant money? So the county would save money, the school district would save money. She was very
She
aggressive.
was.
From what Ms. Kay Robinson told me. She was fighting tooth and nail that we get this. But again, it is not the commissioner's fault that they didn't have the information. It was sent in. And unless we gonna send it to them directly ourselves, in this regard, we sent it to the person that it was supposed to be sent to, which was interim county manager at the time, Dia Denton. Since that meeting, she has actually taken the oath of office as the county manager. So maybe I should say county manager, Dia Denton now, but they had the information. It was in their county manager's possession, but the commissioners did not have it. And I cannot answer why it was not forwarded to the commissioners before the meeting. I can't answer that, but I know it was in her possession. So, but the point still remains. I want to leave this meeting today clear. I mean, where we are with the grant process. Dr. Sawyer has Ms. Kay Robinson, as they have asked. So if you can work on that and try to get that letter out before close of business today,
All right.
as a result of this meeting. But also I think within the letter that Dr. Sawyer crafts, it needs to be spelled out clear that we have no plans of relocating the school. Only reason why we went through another study is because that's what they said before they built the school. They wanted to see whether it was feasible to build at the middle school site, put the high school there, rather than where it is. And they were gonna pay for it. So, I mean, go ahead. And that's what started your ball to bouncing for us to get a new high school for our students. Go ahead on do that. But a feasibility study has already been done for the current site. So that's money that was spent. And now more money is being spent on another feasibility study to move the location. So to me, that's money going down the drain. But I know we have never agreed that we were going to move the current site. So I would appreciate if we would reaffirm that or take a consensus on that or put a motion to that respect today. Attorney Malone, are you still with us?
Yes, yes.
Okay, from a legal aspect, do we need to take a consensus on that, or do we actually need to have a motion on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. So, we don't necessarily have to tie this into the grant. I mean, I understand the need to make your position kind of clear on it, but I don't know whether you're saying that would you not go forward with the grant if they're not willing to kind of agree that the school should be on the high school site? I mean, I guess that's where I'm a little confused. I mean, it seems to me that you can, if your point is to make it clear that that's your preference is to have it there, that's just where you want to have it. I just don't know are you tying it into the grant?
No, this has nothing to do with the grant. And Mrs. Austin, help me with this. The grant did not specifically ask for location.
We did the current location.
Right. Well, I'm saying for rebuild, we did the location that we're currently located on. Okay.
It's more of a renovation / it's more of a renovation of the current building.
Okay. / rebuild.
Because that's what the assessment that we had stated was rebuild, some add, but mostly refurbishing what we have, bringing it up to standard.
Okay. All right. So that is in the grant. That has already been submitted. What Ms. Austin has said. So I guess that's clear enough because that had to go in the grant.
Right.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is that it's certainly, I mean, I don't think that you are wedded, the way I understand these grants is that, because some people don't know exactly, they don't even have a site, so I don't know that you're wedded to a site in the grant more so than the concept of what your plan is. Now, since you are asking to renovate the school, I mean, it does certainly seem that that's the plan. But I also don't think that the grant funds, if given to you, would prohibit you from building a new school on a different site, wherever that site might be located. At least that's my understanding. So again, I guess to the extent that you want to be clear that your board has not consented to placing it on the middle school site, I guess it's just totally up to you whether you feel the need to make that clear at this point.
And the only reason why I'm asking that, Attorney Malone, is because from what Ms. Kay Robinson, who was actually on the meeting, that's basically what has been inferred or what has been said, that we agree as a board to move the high school from the current site to the middle school site. And only thing I'm after is this: we as a board have never consented to that. That's where I am, because it was stated in the commissioners meeting from what fellow board member Kay Robinson said, and we never agreed to that. We never agreed to move from the current site. Only thing we agreed to is that they would pay for a study to be done and we wouldn't have to pay for it. That's all we agreed to. But we as a board have not said, yes, we want to move the high school. It doesn't make sense to take the high school from the community. I mean, we can look around us right here in this county. I mean, new school was built and it was built right on the current site. And a lot of money was invested into that school in our neighboring school district. It was built on the current site. So, I just don't see why we would be trying to move the familiarity of the current site to somewhere else, which is way out from central office, way out from our students, way out from the community. I just don't see the logic behind that. And if we don't vote, I mean, I just want us to have a clear consensus. So if we're asked on Monday what the consent
I can put it to a motion.
of the board is.
No, I think it makes sense in that context to either, like, by consensus today. I mean, the bottom line is that your idea is that you have not consented to it. So I mean, I guess it is a weird motion in a way, but I think you could get a motion to communicate to the commissioners that the Board of Education has not consented to placing the high school on the middle school site, is maybe the best way to say it.
The only thing we agreed to was a feasibility study, and we
Correct.
approved that in our January meeting.
Correct.
That's the only thing we agreed to, was a study. And I don't know how you can misconstrue agreeing to a study to say we agreeing to move, because that wasn't the motion.
Well, I will make a motion to agree to let the county commissioners know that we, as a board, speaking for me,
Sure.
that we would love to we want our school built back where the same Welland High School is.
Second.
All right. Motion has been moved and properly seconded that we will make sure that we let our commissioners know that our consensus is that the remodel or the rebuild would be at the current site.
Right.
Is that clear enough, Attorney Malone?
Yeah, well, that's a slightly different motion than what I thought you were saying. I mean,
Okay.
so I think there's a difference, and maybe not, but I think there's a difference in just saying we have not consented to moving the school from we want it on this site. I mean, those are slightly different motions. I mean, one is you're open to the discussion, but you haven't agreed to it.
Okay,
And which is what I think is more consistent with the fact that you've consented to the feasibility study,
okay,
than to say, we want it on this site. So again, I thought that what you were trying to say is that, just for the record, we have not agreed
that's what I
to
wanted.
move it. Right.
Right, but also I was trying to get some terminology or some verbiage from this meeting. So when the letter is crafted by Dr. Sawyer to send to the Denton County Manager, that he has some clear language from the board to include in our conversation today. So Ms. Jenkins, would you be willing to amend your motion to the verbiage that Attorney Malone has stated?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And will you agree to the
Yes.
second? If we can do that and restate that, Attorney Malone, so Ms. Lee can have that in the minutes.
Yeah, I think the motion would be to make a motion to, in this case, let's say, to have the superintendent notify the county manager that while the board has agreed to a feasibility study regarding the location of the new school, we have not consented to the moving of the school from its current site.
All right.
Right.
Make a motion. You got that, Dr. Sawyer?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have it, Ms. Lee? Okay, all right.
That's it. Attorney
All right.
Malone, you just steady confusing it here. Now,
Yeah.
you got it, don't you, Stephanie?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all got it.
All right.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Reverend. Thank you, Attorney Malone.
All right.
Always happy to help.
The motion has been moved by Mrs. Jenkins and seconded by Ms. Kay Robinson, that we will clarify to our county commissioners that our position or we did not consent to moving locations. Basically, we consented to a feasibility study. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Motion has been moved and properly seconded as stated, and it's in the record. We have it. I'm not going to state it again. All in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by your voice vote? Mrs. Jenkins, Mrs. Kay Robinson,
Aye.
Mrs. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
no D Sykes. Aye. Let the record reflect unanimous approval by our 5 board members that are present for our meeting today. Thank you so much. Do we have any further questions or concerns?
I just want to make sure that Dr. Sawyer sends it directly to every commissioner, as
Okay.
well as county manager.
Right.
Here, yeah, so they'll all receive the same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you would, Dr. Sawyer, when you send that to Dear Denton, and I know you're gonna add the county commissioners, if you would CC our
All of
entire
us.
board and Attorney Malone,
Yes.
then we'll be copied on the email. So all of us will actually get it at the same time.
Right.
When it's crafted. Right.
Thank
Yes, sir.
Yes. Ms. K. Robinson, I'm probably gonna have, if I don't have your phone number, I may need to get it
Okay.
for
No
further
problem.
discussion, because you've been front and center, and Miss Austin as well. And I appreciate that. But if I could just recapture what we've talked as far as the letter, because I want the communication
Sure.
to be spot on. Basically, the letter will include, to address to the county manager, all of the county commissioners, and copy to Board of Education and Attorney Malone, would state the rationale for building a new high school. And, which would include, but not be limited to, the opportunity for students, staff, and our community to, create enhanced experiences and high quality opportunities. Okay, and then with a strong emphasis on, while the Weldon City School Board has agreed to the feasibility study, the board has not consented to moving Weldon High School to any other site, well, to Weldon Middle School site.
Or in any other site than what it
Okay.
currently is.
So I could just say has not consented to moving the Weldon High School site.
Right,
Period.
right.
Other than rebuild, what's the word we're gonna use? Renovate, use the word renovate. But that's what's in the grant, so it won't be any confusion. It's gonna be some new.
I thought it was renovate / rebuild, because we're talking about adding
Renovate,
some.
renovate / rebuild. We use both words, but we're
Right.
not gonna let this demolish the whole school. We're gonna upgrade some of what was already there.
Because
So to be clear,
one thing that we did say, and you will see that in the actual proposal, and Mrs. Harrison, of course, you came on after the fact, and then K. Robinson came on after the fact. So I hope you all will get the larger copies, or if you don't mind, on the longer piece of paper, can you make sure that they get copies of that? Ms. Jenkins, I think you have the larger copy. I know Mr. Williams, myself, Ms. Hale, and Ms. Bird Robinson, you know, the longer paper that we had.
This is the same copy, I just kind of made it
small.
small.
Okay, okay,
It's the very same. thing.
Okay,
I just
all
tried
right,
to do
all
it
right.
again.
okay.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It was,
Okay.
it was color coded and all, but.
That's good.
Okay, if y'all fine with that, I'm
You
good with it.
this?
But my emphasis was, what we were looking at doing that renovation or rebuild, we never factored into that, turn the gym down. We just wanted, to bring the gym up, put the central heat in air, but we're moving along with that project now. So we were gonna keep the gym, but it was gonna be an addition of, I think, another part to the back or to the side or something, and it was gonna be renovating the rest. So it was never, as you said, a complete demolition or tear
Right,
down.
right.
Bringing things up.
Just for clarity.
Sure,
Mhm.
I want it to be crystal clear.
Mhm.
Any other comment or, yes?
One other thing, sir. Yes, Chairman Sykes. So the funding sources or the matching funding sources would be either local funds or the USDA grant. And I know that in a communication from Ms. Denton, she asked, for a construction plan, that we didn't have a construction plan. And so while we do not have a formal construction plan, we do have a feasibility study completed by Davis Kane Architects. And I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page with everyone here. And
That should be
I'll
submitted as well.
I'll state that, yes.
Right.
I'll
You can
reference that.
attach that. if
Right,
you
yeah.
want,
Right,
attach it.
right.
in the
Okay.
updated cost.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And we don't know, I mean, we are hopeful, we don't know what we will be approved for, but
Right.
we reach for the moon.
Mhm.
and
Hopefully we'll
if
catch a
we-
star.
If we fall among the stars, we still gonna be in the sky.
Exactly.
That's right.
So, that's why we reach for the match.
Mhm.
And we're hopeful that we will get enough, or that the grant will go through for us to actually do what we need to do for our high school and our students. And I did owe Mr. Williams when we had this meeting and we getting ready to go. It does not matter whether it is 2,000 or 200 students there. If we gonna do things equitably, effectively, and efficiently, it doesn't matter. We got to do for all students the exact same as we do for any other student. And
Amen.
until that high school,
Amen.
God forbid, until that high school falls below 100 students, it's still a high school. Because the state says if you don't have 100 students there, that the school can't be there. That comes from DPI. And we have more than 100 students there, and they are privy to the same thing as anybody else in this county is privy to, as far as having a fair shake at education.
Absolutely.
So, and that's what Mr. Williams and I, when we met, that's what we advocated for, that's what we said. But that's where we are, and we're hopeful that everything will move along as it needs to. Anything else to claim our attention to our meeting today? All right. Hearing none, then at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
It has been moved by Ms. Kay Robinson and seconded by Mrs. Jenkins that we adjourn our special call meeting. You've heard that motion. Is there any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, would you let it be known by voice vote, Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mrs. Jenkins,
Aye.
Ms. Kay Robinson,
Aye.
Mrs. Harrison,
Yes.
O.D. Sykes, aye. Let the record reflect unanimous approval to adjourn our special call meeting, and we are adjourning at 12:07 p.m. Thank you all so much.